Tonight on The Buzz, 2 nights before Halloween, Brad Malcolm explains how to create better images. Brad is the president of Athentech Imaging, whose top app provides intelligent image correction for still images. Next, 2 student filmmakers from CUNY created Building the Future, a city tech tale. Tonight, we talk with Gabriel and Jonathan Burcin about what happened when they entered their film into the SMPTE Student Film Festival. Next, Serena Catania, the supervising producer of The Buzz, shares what she learned watching the films at the SMPTE Student Film Festival. Next, Maxim Jago is a filmmaker who spends a lot of time thinking about creativity and actors. He shares his thoughts on how he directs actors and his creative process tonight. All this plus a Buzz flashback and Tech Talk talks color correction. The Buzz starts now.
Tonight's digital production Buzz is brought to you by Otherworld Computing at maxsales.com and by Zendata at zendata.com.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative,
one show serves a worldwide network of media professionals,
current,
uniting industry experts,
production,
filmmakers,
post-production,
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
And welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast covering content production, post-production, and distribution around the world. My name is Larry Jordan. Mike Horton and Randy Altman have the night off, but we've got a substitute. There are 2 big announcements that I want to share with you tonight. The first is the announcement last week from Western Digital that they have acquired the 3rd largest manufacturer of flash memory in the world, SanDisk Corporation. This is in a cash and stock deal worth $19 billion. Western Digital has acquired a lot of technology lately. Hitachi Global Storage in 2011. HGST made hard disks, a 15-year licensing deal for flash memory with Toshiba earlier this year, and now SanDisk. As Kinetics Communication wrote in their newsletter today, hard drive manufacturers such as Western Digital are faced with an evolution in the IT industry as well as flash storage becomes more and more desirable, and the need to diversify their storage portfolio becomes vital as hard drive sales slowly decline. They continue, acquiring SanDisk instantly expands Western Digital's foothold in the non-volatile NAND flash memory industry and gives them access to a segment of the consumer data storage market that they weren't in before. For everyone creating media, storage is far more critical to our projects than the computer we use. With this recent announcement, our storage options are likely to become more limited, but we should also see a greater integration of flash with spinning disks. Another announcement that I found intriguing was a press release from Atto Technology highlighting their products that support the simultaneous demands of 8K or 4K editing, real-time video processing, CGI, and visual effects, as well as the needs that studios have for multiple simultaneous ultra-high-definition video streams. These new Atto devices support Thunderbolt, Fiber Channel, or SAS, and provide network speeds up to 40 gigabits per second. Atto has a long-standing and well-deserved reputation for high-quality connectivity products. What struck me were the incredible data transfer speeds we now take almost for granted. As someone who began his computer career with a single-sided 8-inch floppy disk, it never hurts to admire just how far we've come. I want to remind you to subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Every issue is free and comes out every Friday. I'll be back with Brad Malcolm right after this.
Still to come on The Buzz.
When you're working with media, one thing is essential. Your computer needs peak performance. However, when it comes to upgrading your Mac, there are so many different options to choose from that the process can be confusing. That's why Otherworld Computing carries the best upgrades that lets your computer performance and storage grow as your needs grow.
Since 1988, OWC has become one of the most trusted names in quality hardware and comprehensive support to the worldwide computer industry. With an extensive online catalog of Mac, iPhone, and iPad enhancement products, as well as a dedicated team of knowledgeable experts providing first-rate tech support, OWC has everything you need to take your current system to the next level. Whether you need to maximize your system's memory, add blazing speed, or enhance reliability, look no further than the friendly experts at OWC. Learn more by visiting macsales.com today. That's macsales.com.
Brad Malcolm is the president and co-founder of Athentech Imaging. They're the makers of Perfectly Clear. This innovative technology provides intelligent image correction for still images. Hello, Brad. Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. You know, I was just thinking it's been a while since we've had you on the show, and it's time to take a look and see what the new news is. How would you describe the technology behind Perfectly Clear?
Well, outstanding.
Yes, but what does it do? I mean, does it give me for people that don't know what Perfectly Clear is, tell us what it does.
So Perfectly Clear is one-touch magic for your photos. And we've been licensing it for, 14 years to the largest printers around the world. And we have advanced plugins for professional photographers, which is a one-button click. The value proposition there is it's all about saving you time. And so the technology behind Perfectly Clear, we got lots of patents and physics and advanced math and how it works. It's basically, it's here to save you time. Cameras have physical limitations, images are dark, noisy, all that stuff, and we automatically fix that with one click.
Well, we've had image correction for a long time. I mean, iPhoto has it and Photo has it. What is it that separates you from the other applications that are doing image correction?
Well, I guess the difference is we're robust and it's a real color, what we call real color correction. So you can run through millions of images every day, and in fact our licensees run through 30 million prints every day, and it's automatically better. It's not worse, and it's realistic. So we're never going to damage an image, and we're always going to make it better. So that's what makes it robust. There's 20 different corrections that we can do automatically, and we do it at an advanced level. So it doesn't look fake, it doesn't look artificial. There's been a lot of filters, that's a hot topic, but we're not a filter. Filters are for creative and artistic effects, and there's enhancements to make things look pretty, but then they look, again, fake. And that's not us. Have you ever had that moment you go on that special vacation, for example, snap the picture of your family, and what you see with your eyes is full of vibrant color, but you take that picture and it's just blah. You're lacking color vibrancy, it's noisy, it's dark, and that's the challenge. It's the reality doesn't match, or the reality that we remember it, that we actually saw, is different than the camera captured. So we bring it back to how your eyes actually saw it.
Well, I want to talk more about that, but let's take a look at some specific images and see how your technology corrects them. For instance, we've got this image here. It's a picture of a penguin, and tell us what's happening with that image.
Well, that's a great example. First of all, he's waving to your users, so we took it especially for you guys. But other than that, it's just a typical example where you're out shooting. This one was in the Galapagos, and take a picture with your high-quality camera, and it's dark because you have a wide dynamic range that the eye sees, but the camera only has a single aperture, and therefore your exposure doesn't match what you saw. We analyze that, we say, yeah, this is dark, and we correct every pixel independently. So it's like that image that you see now has 20 million independent apertures, all properly optimized so that it's vibrant and full of life, just as you saw it.
Now, I should mention that this image is inside your desktop application. You've also got a mobile app that we'll talk about in just a second. Let's take a look at a second image. And here we've got a young boy, the before on the left and after on the right. What's happening here?
Well, in that case, it's another example. Special memory looks great. You take a picture. The camera didn't capture it as reality actually was. And what happens a lot with digital cameras is images are lacking in color vibrancy. It's due to the linear response of the sensor versus film, which is nonlinear. It's like it's been washed out, like a newspaper sitting in the sun, and that happens a lot, even with our good expensive gear. So we analyze that, we detect that, we automatically bring back the color vibrancy. No, we don't oversaturate it, don't make it worse, we just make it look like you saw with your eyes, full of natural, rich, vibrant color. And we bring back a lot of pop, because we got technology in there from the medical realm, where we work on x-rays, make sure your image has lots of depth, just like you saw with your eyes.
So it's more than just correcting levels or just adding chroma. You're actually doing much more subtle adjustments in that, question mark?
Absolutely. We're analyzing every pixel independently, and if it's noisy, we'll remove it. If it needs an exposure correction, we correct the exposure, but we never clip, and we always maintain the real color. So what that means is, right now you're wearing a red sweater. We're not going to wash that out. We're not going to cause that to become washed out and faded, which is a common problem. We just maintain that real color. You got purple behind you, which is real difficult for cameras to capture, like a FedEx box that's purple. Most cameras will capture that as too blue. If you're shooting a wedding or bridesmaids' dresses or lavender flowers, a lot of people, when color is very important, you want that accurate reproduction. We'll bring it back to the proper color vibrancy. You got abnormal tints, which happens a lot in incandescent lighting, skiing, snow turns out blue. We detect that and we fix that. But this all happens automatically behind the scenes.
Okay, let's take a look at another image. This looks almost like a skin softening, that we're making blemishes disappear. Is that a true statement?
Well, it is a true statement, because we have our Beautify technology. And in one click, we actually do 10 different corrections. We smooth the skin, but it's very natural looking, as you can see. We'll whiten teeth, we'll enhance eyes, we can remove blemishes. So there's a lot of stuff, and we just make it easy to look your best. It's not fake, it's not artificial. There's a lot of technology out there where you can smooth images, and people complain a lot, yeah, that looks fake, that's not me, I don't recognize me. Well, that's not the case. With us, it's totally natural, because what happens a lot is, even with lenses, they'll due to the wide angle, and they'll distort your skins a bit. And so our face contouring just brings your face back to the natural proportion. What's different is, with us, we're automatic, and that's the key value proposition. You click the button, we do the rest. We detect faces, we detect age, we detect the gender, and automatically make you look your best. You don't have to go there and manually choose a face and manually choose red eye or remove this or any of that complicated stuff. We do it all behind the scenes.
Well, you've also recently released a new Android and iOS application, if I'm correct. It's called, is it Lucid, if I remember correctly? Or is that the desktop app?
That's the desktop app. So we've had plugins for people in the Adobe workflow, Photoshop plugins, Lightroom plugins, and those work awesome, and we got a lot of people loving that. And so what we launched recently is our Photo Enthusiast line. It's a standalone, and Lucid, Lucid, makes your images perfectly clear as well, and it's a standalone app for Windows and Mac. So for those people that are not in Adobe, super easy to just run images through. You can batch process.
Well, we've got an image of a young girl on screen. It's split screen. We've got before on the left, after on the right. What's Lucid doing here?
So that's in our iOS app, and that's what we just launched as well. And so in that case, that's a cute young girl, and it's a typical example where she's outside. It looks great, wide dynamic range. Camera couldn't capture that. We detected that. We're correcting every pixel automatically, making the exposure look the best. But we also detect the face, and we can see her eyes are a little dark. So we're making her eyes pop, bringing out the shine, the sparkle that her eyes naturally had, because she's full of joy.
All right. Well, what I'm hearing is the big benefit that your software provides is not that you can exceed necessarily the capabilities of a skilled photographer, but you don't have to be a skilled photographer to take advantage of this. It's one-click easy. So it strikes me that the broad market, people who just want their pictures to look better, is a perfect market for what this product is. Did I have that correctly?
Yeah, that's correctly. I would dissect it in two areas. If you're a working pro or advanced amateur, some of the stuff, but not all of it, but some of it you can do in Photoshop, but yeah, it's going to take you 5 minutes. And for us, it'll take 2 seconds. Now, take that if you're shooting weddings, if you're doing commercial, you got 1,000 images. If you got to manually correct everyone, that's going to take you a lot of time. Run it through, we automatically correct it. That's where there's a huge time savings, because you make your money doing creative stuff behind the computer, not doing mundane editing. If you're a photo enthusiast, well, you don't want to learn complex tools. We get you there without the learning curve. So there's two segmentations there.
One of the buzzwords that we're hearing a lot about, especially in video, it's been around in photography for a long time, is high dynamic range images, where we have black or blacks and white or whites. Are you able to work with HDR images? And if so, is there really that much of a difference after we've run your product through those images?
Absolutely. There's two aspects to that. One, HDR images are often quite noisy because you're taking at a very high ISO, and then you're combining that, so you're getting the noise aggregated throughout 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 images. So running it through Perfectly Clear will actually remove the noise. And even with the HDR images, yes, you're taking several apertures combined, or several exposures and combining them together. But with Perfectly Clear, we'll notice that it still is often dark, and we'll just make those colors pop and fix that exposure. So we have a lot of people using that with a lot of success and loving it.
You've got technology for Mac and Windows systems. You've also got it for Android and iOS. Are you seeing that the uses of the product are different depending upon what platform they're using?
No, I wouldn't say the uses are different. I mean, we license the core technology, and then, we got our mobile applications, our desktop applications. So, no, we have people with super expensive cameras and lenses, and I'm one of those. But still, there's camera physical limitations where it's like, wow, it didn't get it right, and run it through, and the photos look amazing, and I don't have to spend time doing it. So it's more from a use case. But we have a lot of Android users, and we have a lot of people on iOS as well. So I wouldn't say there's any specific trends within a certain OS. People, and those are just the OSs, but just getting the big picture. People are still taking pictures. They want their images to look their best, and they don't want to spend hours behind a computer making it so.
I just realized according to what I was reading on your website, your software does 18 different tests or 18 different corrections to an image to make it look better. Can I select which of those I want it to do, or am I taking everything all or nothing? You can
tune everyone individually as well, so you can definitely adjust it. And those are the two sides. So one button click, and we have 8 different presets, 8 one-button touches that you can choose from. We got our details, which work super robust across everything. If you're working on portrait, you hit our Beautify or Beautify Plus. But then, if you want to fine-tune it in our plugins or the standalone, there's a separate tab you tap. All the slider bars are there, and you can make adjustments if you want. And the adjustments are very simple because our exposure, when you move exposure to the left or to the right, we're adjusting every pixel independently, never clipping, always maintaining real color. So it's no complex levels or curves adjustment, but it does an excellent job with one slider.
I should mention, congratulations are in order. Apparently you've won Apple has awarded Lucid one of the best new apps on the iOS platform. Congratulations, that's very exciting.
Well, thank you very much.
What did you have to do to qualify? Did they pick you out of the blue, or did you wave your hand and say, we're here, pay attention to us?
We worked a year and a half of hard development and engineering, and just to develop a world-class app.
When did they give you the Best New App Award?
Well, what they do is they do their featuring of different apps, and they rotate that frequently as well. So that happened a couple of days ago, just when we launched it here. I was on a call, and all of a sudden I started getting Skypes from people in Norway, and actually a buddy and part of the development team there said, wow, hey, this is cool, check it out. And I was trying to stay focused in on the call, and then the other guy said, hey, wait a minute, what's this going on here? So it was pretty cool.
That was very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're focused on making images look better. What new technology are you keeping your eyes on in the near future that could enhance the images that we take?
Stuff that we're specifically doing, or just stuff in the industry in general?
Well, I know you're not going to pre-announce products. That's always what I'm interested in, but it won't happen. But I'm just thinking more of what new things are coming down the pipe that you're keeping your eyes on, generically speaking.
Well, one thing that we're always interested in is just to be as good as we can. And with technology, we got lots of inventions, but we want to continue to innovate. And so that one-touch button, I mean, we're very good. We're the most robust that there is out there. But there's always room to make it better, make it faster. do more stuff. And so those are the things that we're always working on. How do we do it better? How do we even refine everything more? Are there more corrections that one needs, for example? Like, one thing we don't deal with is blurry images due to motion. Can you take an image after the fact and make it crisp? You know, it's different things like that. There are other examples, but everything about picture quality, how can we just make it easy to look your best? Cameras are getting better. There's a lot of great equipment on there, and great processing software, but there's still, again, physical limitations. The way that the human eye works and dynamically manages the light versus a single aperture, that still continues to be the case.
Well, if you can figure out how to make a blurry image look sharp, that, I think, qualifies as absolute magic, because that's some real... How do you find an edge in a blurry image?
I don't have an answer for you. If I did, we'd probably have a product out there. But that's just one of many. Yeah, there's some real challenging problems out there.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's analogous to taking echoes out of audio and human speech. How you remove the echo without removing the voice is a real challenge. How you remove the blur and keep an edge when the edge isn't there, I think that qualifies you for Magician of the Year award. I'm very impressed.
Well, if it wouldn't be me, it would be my team that's smart behind me, just for clarity. I don't take the credit.
Brad, where can people go to learn more about the products that you guys offer?
Well, you can go to our website, which is athentech.com, athentech.com, and you'll find everything there. You can just also Google Perfectly Clear, and it'll come up.
Perfect. The website is athentech, athentech.com. Brad Malcolm is the president and co-founder. Brad, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Real pleasure as always.
Still to come on The Buzz.
If you need long-term archiving for your video content, then you should look at ZenData. They specialize in providing secure, long-term storage of video content with a low cost per terabyte. The company has a variety of archive solutions that range from external LTO drives that can connect to your laptop to multi-petabyte storage systems using huge robotic libraries. ZenData systems will store your content on LTO or Sony optical disc archive cartridges. And with their next release, they also provide an option for archiving to the Amazon cloud. They offer great compatibility with many of the third-party applications used in the media and entertainment industry, including most media asset management systems. ZenData has hundreds of installations around the world, from Los Angeles to Mongolia. So if protecting your assets is important to you, visit zendata.com. That's XENDATA.com.
We've got an interesting story of two cities for you today. Two students, Andre Gabriel and Jonathan Burcin, are students at the City University of New York, the College of Technology, and both of them are third-year students studying entertainment technology. Andre's background is in production, Jonathan's background is in post-production, and they created this film, I gotta look at my notes, Building for the Future, a City Tech Tale. But what makes it especially interesting is that while they go to school in New York, they're actually in Los Angeles. And therein lies the story. Hello, Andre. Hello, Jonathan. Good to have you with us.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm talking to the two of you. This is going to be great. Tell me about your film, Building for the Future, a City Tech Talk. What is it?
Okay, so there's a solar decathlon that happens that students from different schools from different states. They build an energy efficient house. Yes, they try to build energy efficient houses. So our school, City Tech, we have an undergraduate, the architecture students from the undergraduate program. They decided to participate in this competition. So we're the only participating school with undergraduates, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, for the solar decathlon. So since we're doing that, we were interested in videotaping and documenting their progress, building the house. And since, so we documented them starting to build a house and through their progress, and because they had to ship it to California after for the competition. So
yeah, they build the house completely and then they dismantle it and have it shipped to California and then rebuild it here.
Yeah.
And why did you decide to turn this into a film? What was it that caught your attention?
Well, it was actually kind of the diversity of the students involved, because all of the students, they weren't just architecture students alone. There were students from other backgrounds,
math majors,
engineering, all kinds of stuff. Everyone kind of had a hand in it. So we decided to cover the diversity of the student body that was participating in the program.
Since City Tech is one of the most diverse colleges in the nation, so we wanted to highlight that along with documenting the progress building the house.
You've shot, you're in production, you're shooting the film. What were you using for gear? What did you shoot it on?
It was a Panasonic.
Panasonic HP X170.
Yeah. And that was the camera.
Right.
And shotgun mics. There were Sennheiser shotgun mics. And I'm not too sure if were they using mixers?
Well, maybe for narration, but not for.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What did you guys use for narration?
For the mixer.
Yeah. So it wasn't like the most advanced, like 4K.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the most advanced stuff.
We basically used what we had on hand.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, how did you edit it?
So I edited on Avid Symphony. So I was saying how it's a good project to work on. As I was learning Avid, it was a good it was the first major project I worked on Avid.
Now you entered this into a contest. Not only was there the architecture contest, but didn't you enter it into a student film festival? Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, the SMPTE Student Film Festival, the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, they held their first annual film festival for students this year, and we decided to enter it.
On a whim. It was
on a whim, yeah. We figured we didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
And there were how many people competing?
In our division, there were 3 schools, three people competing, 3 films.
And how'd you do?
Including ours. We
got second place in the category, which was best use of entertainment technology in film. But we got first place in best in show.
Best in show, yes.
So we won something.
Yes. And that was an unexpected thing.
Yeah, well, we didn't expect it. No.
Congratulations. Best in show is always a delight. I wish you both great success. Is this film going to be posted anywhere? Can people see it?
I'm not too sure. We're going to have to speak with our head professor, Professor Ryoya.
It's a Japanese name. It's hard. First name, last name.
But we have to find out exactly where it will be posted. Because right now it's posted internally for us to view, but it's not for the general public just yet.
Yeah, right.
Well, I wish you great success. Andre Gabriel for doing the production and Jonathan Burcin for doing the post-production, both at City University, New York. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Serena Catania is the supervising producer for the BuZZ and a highly respected and very productive filmmaker in her own right. Recently, she attended the SMPTE Student Film Festival screenings where Andre and Jonathan won their Best of Show award. Hello, Serena. Good to see you again.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
I am doing great. You know, I was thinking that you were at the SMPTE screenings where our 2 guests won their award. What were your thoughts watching all these student films?
The enthusiasm in the audience was amazing. These filmmakers, young filmmakers, had come as far away as Ecuador, Canada, United Arab Emirates. It was amazing how enthusiastic they are, and that's rejuvenating for us, too.
What was it that impressed you the most?
The DSLR generation has really taught students how to film well. Visually, the visuals are very, very good in these films. I was also impressed with some of the special effects and some of the mock-ups that were used in the film. Lighting was good. Editing was surprisingly good. And I was also surprised that a lot of these schools are teaching on Avid.
What was it that needed the most work?
I think it was sound. It was sound. They need to listen to your recent webinars on sound, Larry. There were some sync problems, probably having to do with the DCP that was made on the other end, or I don't know if the schools made them ahead of time or if they were made by SMPTE. Something happened with the DCPs, and so there were sync problems. I would advise anybody who's screening a film in a public venue to first find out how it's going to be projected and make sure that your specs are going to be top-notch and you're not going to have any problems technically. Because if the sound isn't good, it's very distracting. Some of the films were very good in terms of sound, but others, they even admitted it in the Q&A that they needed to learn a lot about the sound. They weren't mixed. The levels were uneven, and in the room it sounded very tinny. It was sometimes hard to understand what was being said.
How about the storytelling? Was the storytelling okay?
Actually, that was my next point. Story is a big problem for some of these films. Even a 30-second film, especially the 30-second film, has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's got to have a payoff. You need to know who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, who you're rooting for, and you need an ending. And some of these were technically wonderfully interesting, but the story was lacking.
So what was the key takeaway that you've got for student filmmakers? What can they learn from these films?
I would say get a mentor who is not one of your teachers, but a mentor who's in the industry and is working as a pro so that you can ask them questions outside of the box and get a really high-level feedback for your projects. It really does make a difference. And I watched the men and women in the room who are professionals who have been working for many, many years, and they're very interested in helping out. You can always find somebody who is from an older generation who's been around for a while and is willing to spend some time helping you to learn things that you may or may not learn in school.
Serena, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again. Look forward to seeing what else we've got planned for the rest of the show.
Thanks, Larry.
Still to come on The Buzz.
I've got a ton of brand new training videos showcasing all the new features in Final Cut Pro 10.2, and they're all available today. In fact, we've updated our entire Final Cut training for this release. We added more than 70 new movies covering every major and minor new feature in the software. Then I figured as long as I was recording, I added new techniques and new ways of working that I've discovered and written about in my newsletter over the years. We've updated our workflow and editing training with 31 new movies and effects with 41 new movies. This makes our Final Cut training the most comprehensive, most up-to-date, and most affordable way to learn everything about this amazing software. It's quick, it's easy, and it's complete. I'm proud of all of my training, and especially proud of this one. Get your copy today in our store at larryjordan.com, or even better, become a member of our video training library and get access to all of our training for one low monthly price. Both are incredible values. Thanks.
Welcome to Tech Talk, sponsored by Keycode Media.
Here we've got two kids, and we can see they've got skin, and they look normal. Let's look at our scopes. All right, a little bit of highlight with the sky, but notice that we would consider these kids white, but they're not white. They're a mid-tone gray. This brings me to one of the most politically incorrect statements I can think of saying. There are no white people, and there are no black people. There's just mid-tone gray people. If you think about it, when you're getting yourself cleaned up in the bathroom in the morning and a piece of skin falls off, the very first thing you do is you look at that dead skin and make sure that it's not some major body part that you're suddenly losing. But the other thing you do is you look at it closely and you realize it's a gray, dead skin, because skin doesn't have a color. Skin has a grayscale. Our blood has a color. So that which gives us color is not our skin, but the blood under our skin. The rest of us, the rest of our skin is just simply varying in grayscale. It's a grayscale difference. So what does that mean in terms of the scope? Look at the computer. You see this line right here on the vector scope that's going up left. That's called the skin tone line or the flesh tone line. whether you are Caucasian or Black or Asian or Indian or any other ethnic or racial group, every single one of us has the same red blood under our skin, and this line represents the color of red blood under skin. The color is always the same. The only thing that changes is the saturation. So here, the girl's skin is that big clump right there on the skin tone line. Here, the background is white. Her sweater is beige. Her face between 60 and 80%. She's not white. She's a mid-tone gray. This Hispanic woman, her skin tone right around 60 to 70%. The background is 90%. She's clearly not a grayscale white. She's a mid-tone. This black woman. There's the white of her sweater, the beige of the couch, her face 20 to 40%. She's not black, she's a mid-tone gray. She's not white or black, she's a mid-tone gray. She's not white or black, she's a mid-tone gray. And look where their skin tones are. Right on the skin tone line, right on the skin tone line, right on the skin tone line. In fact, if I go here and go to Effect Controls and turn on a crop, so I just see her skin and go back to the scopes, her skin is right on the skin tone line. This is a huge benefit to us as we're doing color correcting, because if our skin tone is not on the skin tone line or a couple degrees above or below it, we're going to look strange. Here, for instance, okay, but feels lifeless. So the first thing I'm going to do is analyze the image. Let's pull our blacks down just a little bit. But she's Caucasian. Her skin tone should be around, 50 to 70%. Nothing gets over 50. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply a crop, go back to Effect Controls, and let's crop in and find a well-lit part of her skin. I want to make sure to exclude other colors, because otherwise it can be confusing trying to read the scope if you've got a bunch of other colors in there. There we go. Doesn't have to be super big. She's on the skin tone line, but she's supposed to be between 50 and 70%. She's between 40 and 45%. So I'm going to bring my white levels up and pull her up to be about, 55 to 60%. Now when I take the crop off, much gooder. Now we can pull this down a bit to give ourselves a little bit more black level, give ourselves a little bit more richness. This is where we were before. This is where we are. Maxim Jago is a film director, a screenwriter, and an author who splits his time between filmmaking and speaking as a futurist. He's a regular speaker at media technology conferences, film festivals, and events celebrating creativity. He's also the Chief Innovation Officer at filmdo.com and a mentor for many new filmmakers. Welcome back, Maxim. Good to have you with us.
Very happy to be here. Nice to see you again.
Well, you know, I was just thinking, the last time we spoke, which was back in February of this year, we were talking about your approach to creativity and the training that you do for Adobe. This time, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about your work as a film director. What are some of the films that you've created?
Goodness. There are 50 terrible films that I've created. A couple of them are acceptable. I think the most significant ones recently, there was a feature-length documentary I made about a New York-based abstract theater director called Richard Foreman. That was pretty interesting, and it's beautiful because he's an abstract theater director. It's pretty crazy stuff. And at the beginning of the process, I interviewed one of the actors who said, "I know this is fake. Just so you know, I said it. This is definitely one of those psychological tests, and just so you know, I spotted that's what it was, because it's too crazy." And 2 weeks in, the same guy said, "I get it. It's amazing. It's transformative. I'm wowed." So it was wonderful seeing that development. I also I got Best Director last year in Monaco for a short film called Strong Heart. And that was a beautiful little piece about a lady having it's a serendipitous love story. And I did pretty well with a short again last year, which was called Theft Unexpected. It's based on a beautiful Douglas Adams story about a man who, he thinks that his biscuits, he would say cookies in America, his cookies are being stolen by a stranger across the table from him in a railway station cafe. And, of course, the big reveal at the end is that his biscuits, his cookies were under his own newspaper. He's actually been stealing the other guys. And there's this beautiful battle of wills between these two characters who neither of them have any training to prepare them for a stranger stealing their food like that and looking annoyed while they did it. It's beautiful. So that film actually got best actor and best supporting actor. It was lovely, lovely little film.
There's a lot of different ways to approach film. Some people, like Hitchcock, like the technical challenge of planning every shot. Other directors like working with actors, and other directors like the post-production process. Which part appeals to you the most?
I think for me, when I was a kid, I was always interested in the idea of lucid dreaming, you know, where you're in control of the dream. Never managed to pull it off, although I have dozed off a lot during the day. It's not quite the same. I love the idea that as a filmmaker, you are using, in a sense, reality itself as your paintbrush and paint and canvas, that you're really creating an experience for your audience. And I read a little while ago that the part of your brain, the part of your mind that has experiences, does not differentiate between something that you literally are experiencing, something that you imagine, something that you remember, something that you dream. It doesn't differentiate at all. So as a filmmaker, I think that in a very literal sense, you're creating an experience, a real experience for your audience, and I think that's very beautiful. I've been an actor, and I sometimes still do act, and so I particularly love helping actors to become very present and very real. I'm not particularly concerned about the precise words of the script. I'm more interested in naturalism than realism. I'm more interested in the authenticity of the moment. And as long as the key sentiments of the scene are there, as long as the plot is expressed and, you know, the main stuff is right, I'm much more concerned with the audience believing what they're witnessing and feeling that it's real. There's an amazing moment in Interstellar, which I enjoyed very much. I don't know the name of the young actress that plays his daughter at the beginning of the film. But there's a scene where she is very angry with him because he's leaving. And her performance was so powerful and real. I felt she's crying when he's going to go. I felt myself welling up watching it. I could feel my own eyes empathically, sympathetically, I should say, responding. And she wasn't even speaking yet. It was just so completely real and present. And I think if you can create something with all of your cast and crew that has that reality tone, it's just an incredible thrill. I directed a film a while back. I was very proud of it. It didn't do very well at the festivals. It's called The Party's Over. You can see it on my Vimeo page. It's about a guy and a girl in a cafe, and it's about it's a very serious topic about her being assaulted at a party. And I just helped the actress through this emotional journey so that there's a moment where he should be saying, "I'm so sorry this has happened, let me help you," but he reacts the wrong way. And I took her on this emotional journey to the point where there was nowhere for her to go but tears and slapping him. So she does both. And members of the crew were welling up watching her performance. And I just thought, I might as well quit now. I don't think it's going to get any better. So I love all of it. But I always feel that as a director, it's not about me being in charge. It's not about my ego or me being right. It's about me enabling everybody else there to fulfill their genius. If I can be, I want to reclaim the word enabler. Alcoholics Anonymous use it as someone who justifies behavior. And I want to reclaim that word because I think it's very powerful. If you can enable other people to fulfill their potential, and as a director, if you can be the one, I always think it's like being the only one tuning an orchestra and you're the only one with a tuning fork. And you go around and people show you things and you go dong and you listen. And it either fits or it doesn't. It's either in tune or it isn't. And if it is in tune and it's better than my idea, let's have it. Because it makes me look like a better director. It's wonderful. You just have to help other people to challenge them in the right way. And I find that very fulfilling as well.
It's a hard position, though, for an actor to be in the moment in relationship to the film, as opposed to being in the moment surrounded by crew and all the technical gear that's necessary with filmmaking. What's a typical instruction you give to an actor to help bring them into the moment you need them to be in relationship to the film as opposed to real life?
Yeah, I have a rule about that. You know, following on from this idea that the brain doesn't differentiate between something you imagine or something that's really happening, I found that particularly actors are willing to step into a world that you paint for them, a world that you describe. So my rule is this, I say very clearly, and I say it regularly until they really get it, you are not acting for the cast, for the other cast, for the crew, for the audience, for the camera, nobody. You're not acting for any of those people, you're just acting for me. And I will sit next to the camera, so the eye lines are right, and it's all just as it should be. And I promise to tell you when it's right. And if it's not right, I'll tell you why. But if it is, not only will I tell you, but it's kind of my responsibility. So if I'm wrong, it's my fault, not yours. If I say it's good, and it's time to move on. But I want you to imagine there's a bubble around this location that you're in, this scene, and nothing exists outside of that bubble. If you're imagining, if it's a three-wall set and the camera's, it's a flyaway stage or whatever, and there's obviously crew there, I won't have this stuff of crew moving lights around. You know, gaffers are terrible for it. They're always thinking, because you can't hear them, they think, well, I'm just going to move this light. But of course, it's distracting for the cast. So I want everyone to be very present. And I want the cast to only be thinking about whether they're performing for me. And I'm right there, right next to the camera watching. And am I convinced that it's real? And my rule is, if you're not feeling it, I don't want to see it. And it's my responsibility to give you the feeling, it's not yours. Don't direct yourself. And if I haven't given you a feeling, show me that. Show me absolutely nothing. It'll be wonderful on camera. It'll look fantastic. Because, you know, when you have that blank expression, the audience projects onto you. And that's because when people go into shock, when their feelings are so powerful, it's not worth expressing them. It's really, you just shut down. So let's have that. And if that's not what I want, I promise I will give you the feeling. There's a fantastic UK director's trainer called Simon Phillips. He has this great technique where you never answer the question if an actor asks you how they should feel. Just don't answer. Just pretend they never asked it. But tell them a little story about something that happened to them. So you can say, for example, if you want them to really dislike another character, you can say, take them aside and say, you know, the last time you saw that guy, he was really drunk. He was fall-down drunk. He mistook you for somebody else. He took a swing and punched you in the head. And he was so drunk, he walked off, didn't even realize he'd just gone. He hasn't seen you since, and you haven't seen him, and he obviously doesn't recognize you and doesn't remember he did it. Let's have the scene. And now what you've got is this powerful, layered story that the actor has in their mind, and the other actor has no idea why they're reacting that way. It's beautiful. It's a real feeling.
So you don't give the same instruction to all your actors. Each actor is getting a specific instruction?
Yeah, I give two separate sets of direction. One is for everyone together, and the other is absolutely separately, because it's about an internal journey. You know, you can't give away all the information, because what you need, you know, when you want the reactions, don't you? You want the reactions, and I'm always saying to actors, stop waiting for your line. You've got to really listen, because if you want a lot of screen time, you better look like you're thinking about what the other person's saying, because your reactions tell the audience how they should feel. So if you're just standing there waiting, I can't use it. That's going to be on the cutting room floor. Feel it, be present, and it's my job to give them feelings. It's my job to give them an attitude. I also think that as a director, you know, I was raised by intellectual hippies. I believe in absolute equality, and we should all love one another and drink more tea. But nonetheless, as the director, you are an authority, and I think that you create the space in which people feel safe to take risks and to work magic. And in the, you know, in the Native American shamanic tradition, they have this idea that when you're performing a big ceremony, you'll have two shamans, and one shaman performs the ceremony, and the other one holds the space. And I think as a director, you're both. You have to create that atmosphere in which everybody in the room, cast and crew, feels that something's truly being created here. Something really magical is happening. And it's all happening around this scene, in this space in the middle of the room, if you like. And it's your job to create that space. You have to be the one that doesn't freak out when the equipment breaks. You have to be the one that has humor when things go wrong.
Maxim, I was looking at my notes. You're working on a new film called Orpheus Rising. Tell us about that.
It is my baby. It's a love story thriller about an uncommonly compassionate and emotionally okay contract killer who falls totally, truly, madly, deeply French movie style in love. And so far, everybody who reads the script says they want to work on it for free. They can't wait. It's a meant story. It's the kind of film that we get into filmmaking for. And I'm just inviting anybody who wants to get involved to get involved. And it's a bit of a challenge. I'm trying to reach out to Gemma Arterton, Johnny Depp, Anthony Hopkins, and Terence Stamp to get them to read the script and get involved. And so I'm reaching out psychically because their agents won't talk to indies. But it is a beautiful project, and so far everyone wants to get involved.
Well, it seems like you're sort of caught in a catch-22. You can't get money until you've got a famous actor, and you can't get a famous actor until you've got money. How are you coping with the stress?
Naps, yes. You just have to keep going. You know, I read a beautiful quote somewhere that you have to be lucky to be successful, and the harder you work, the luckier you are. And I think keeping going is one of those great tests. If you keep going, you will eventually have some success.
Well, thinking about success reminds me of the other film that you're working on, which has a killer title. It's called James Bond 0013. Tell me about that.
It's a fantastic project. You know, over the years, I've had a number of people tell me that they thought I would make a good Bond. And being human and male, who doesn't like being told that? And I've met a few people that have said, well, you know, why don't you just go for it? And I was speaking with Serena Catania, who you know as well, about this. And she's an incredibly experienced filmmaker, a wonderful person. And she said, well, let's work on it together. And, you know, over the years, as I get older and more cynical, I've realized that most of the people that say they're going to do things are lying. They don't realize they're lying. They mean it at the time, but they're lying. And they just don't do it. And my old lecturer at film school, Ted May, is a genius, said the definition of professional is to do what you say you're going to do. And I've learned that I used to think it was 1 in 10. Now I'm thinking it's more like 1 in 100 or maybe even 1 in 1,000 people actually do what they say they're going to do. And when you meet someone like that, grab them, marry them maybe. And
but let's get back. James Bond 13. I want to just sort of center this again. Where are we? Yeah. We left off in the middle of you being James Bond, and suddenly we were off at another planet.
In a relationship. Serena was saying, well, let's do it. So the plan is that I've written a script. I've called it James Bond 0013. It's a simple, short, it's about 9 minutes, James Bond case where he conducts an investigation. And I'm going to play the lead, I'm going to play Bond, and I'm going to direct it. It's the first time for me, a second time, the first time it's an unbearably awful student film. It's the second time for me playing the role and directing the film. It's a proof of concept to see if I can do it. Now, I think in a situation like that, you need an exceptional crew, and you need an exceptional assistant director, and an exceptional production manager. You need people who are really in control. And you have to be rehearsed and planned before you get on location. But these days, now you've got instant playback of what you've recorded, and it's much, much easier to capture things. We can shoot with 2 or 3 cameras, and it'll work out just fine. But the goal of the film is to make a short film that is more James Bond than the last 3 James Bond films. Now, we're a little bit scared that we're going to get sued. Well, I should say I'm a little bit scared that I'm going to get sued. But it is just a fan film. We're not going to make any money from it. This isn't for distribution, for sale. We'll put it online. And you never know, perhaps the Broccolis will see it and think, perhaps I could make a Bond. You never know, right?
So it's an audition reel. I understand. This makes perfect sense. But James Bond films are $100 million to $200 million enterprises. So clearly you must have a $30 or $40 million budget behind this 9-minute short. Correct?
Well, you know, I believe in, I'm an optimistic realist, and I think that we're aiming for a $30,000 budget. You know, because of the technology work, I've got some wonderful friends working for a lot of technology companies who've offered to help in lots of ways, and that makes an enormous difference. The thing that's the most important, though, is the people. You know, you can shoot incredible films on a phone now. It's the people that make the difference. And over the years, I've met some just extraordinary souls that I'm proud to have the opportunity to work with. And this is finally an opportunity to say, okay, let's go. Let's work on something amazing, something just fantastic. And so I'm ringing that bell, and I'm inviting people to come and get involved.
So are you funded, or are you looking for funding?
Well, Well, it depends who we're speaking to. If we're looking for... if you're talking to investors, you have to say, we've already got the money, but if you want to get involved, the train's leaving the station, but, jump on board, the doors haven't closed yet. No, we don't have any finance yet. We've got some offers of a lot of in-kind support, which counts for thousands and thousands. We've got a little bit of cash offered by people, organizations, companies where if we talk about using their technology and produce some marketing material, really, we can fund it a little way. But we haven't actually asked anybody yet for any money.
For people that decide they've got extra cash and need to fund another Bond film for less than $200 million, where can they go on the web to learn more about you and or your projects?
Oh, thank you for asking. So, well, I'm at maximjago.com. And so it's easy to find me if you Google me. It's a weird spelling for my name, MAXIMJAGO. But the website is good, maximjago.com. I'm Maxim Jago on Twitter. Pretty easy to find.
And Maxim Jago, the filmmaker and the artist and the creative source and the Adobe wizard, is the person we've been speaking to. MaximJago.com is his website. Maxim, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you, Larry.
It's time for a BuZZ flashback, 5 years ago today.
There is nothing that I found that replaces the attempt of trying to capture something in real life. I mean, you talk to any artist who's painted, people who want to paint nudes, it's better working from life. Well, similarly, when it comes to the land, when you can smell the air and you can, feel the cold in your fingers or the mosquitoes biting down your neck, whatever the case may be, it all lends to a greater sense of understanding of the place and hopefully trying to capture the essence of it.
This was a BuZZ flashback.
I enjoy listening to the comments of all of our guests, but I was especially struck by the comments that Maxim was talking about where he was working with actors, and he wasn't telling his actors what to do, and he wasn't telling his actors what to say. He was giving them tips on what they should feel, which I thought was a very interesting approach, because once they knew what they were feeling, then the actions and the dialogue would then come out from that. The other interesting thing, I liked his quote where he said, perfection is doing what you say you're going to do, which struck a chord with me. I also enjoyed chatting with our two student filmmakers as they were just bubbling over with excitement on the film that they not only created and submitted, but won Best of Show for at the SMPTE Student Filmmakers Film Festival. And Brad and Malcolm with Athentech and his image correction technology, image enhancement technology is exceedingly exciting. I want to thank Brad Malcolm. He was the president of Athentech Imaging, and Andre Gabriel and Jonathan Burcin, the filmmakers, and Serena Catania, the supervising producer for the BuZZ, and Maxim Jago, filmmaker and futurist, for being on tonight's show. There's a lot of history in our industry, and it's all posted to our website at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Here you'll find thousands of interviews, all online and all available to you today. And please remember to sign up for our free weekly show newsletter. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner, with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Text transcripts are provided by Take One Transcription. Visit takeone.tv to learn how they can help you. Our producer, Serena Catania, engineering, Megan Paulos, Ed Golia, Keegan Guy, Hannah Dean, and Brianna Murphy. My name is Larry Jordan, and thanks for joining us for the Digital Production Buzz.
The Digital Production Buzz was brought to you by Otherworld Computing, providing quality hardware solutions and extensive technical support to the worldwide computer industry since 1988. And by Zen Data, who provides highly competitive digital video archive solutions.